Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. Good evening. It's almost Christmas Eve. Tomorrow is Christmas Eve. So, and it's very wet day today in Los Angeles. It's been raining. Actually, it's been raining up and down the coast of California. So, well, I'm glad you're here. Let's continue learning from Master YongHua.
活跃者是做饭开悟，活跃者是做菜开悟。
Maybe the ones who cook rice will become enlightened, or the ones who cook vegetables will become enlightened.
活跃者是收拾厕所的开悟。 活跃者是吃饭的开悟。
Or the ones who clean up the bathroom will become enlightened, or the ones who eat here will become enlightened.
活跃者在这座谈开悟，这个总而言之，一定要有开悟。
Or the ones who meditate here will become enlightened. All in all, somebody must become enlightened.
我对你们说这个话，你们应该相信。只要你们自己努力去用功，决定会有成就的。
I tell you this, you should believe that as long as you apply effort and work hard, you will for sure have attainments.
你们还记得3年以前的事情很多人就是三藩市人被搬到海里去。
Do you remember what happened 3 years ago? Many people said that San Francisco would sink into the sea.
Okay, so the master said that he predicted back then that someone would become enlightened. Anyone who was there could have that chance. Could be someone who meditated, someone who was working in the kitchen, cleaning in the bathroom, and so forth. And you could believe it. It's true. The master would never lie. Especially on something like that, something that about enlightenment, and he made a prediction like that. So it's for real. So back then, people had some attainments already because of the Dharma. They practiced the Dharma he taught, and also the fact that he was there for them. So the Dharma is still here. The Dharma we're practicing comes from him, comes from the Wei-Yang tradition, the Chinese tradition. But look at the major difference between then and now is that Master YongHua was around. When Master YongHua disappeared, he died. I was at his temple for 4 years, over 4 years, and not much happened. I was very disappointed. Okay, so somehow the tradition was lost. That knowledge on how to help people disappeared. So it was frustrating 4 years for me personally, because all I wanted is to improve. To be taught in order to improve, to learn, and not much happened. Okay, so it's real disappointing to me. It seems to still be the case because I admire the loyalty of the people. You know, when you are grateful to the Master YongHua, you should be grateful. He brought us a tremendous gift. He brought the treasure, Chinese treasure, to America. And so we should be eternally grateful for that. Okay? It changed people's lives. It changed mine. So should always remember that he is the first American patriarch. And we owe, all of us, people in the West, owe to him a debt of gratitude. Okay? But the best way to be grateful is to succeed in his method, okay, practice. And there's no excuse. Well, not for us, my generation in particular, where we're supposed to guide you, supposed to assist you in your practice, like he assisted us in our practices. Okay. And so this is one of the major reasons why I'm doing this, is because it's none of my business, okay? But I had to do it because otherwise the knowledge will be lost, and it takes time for him to bring people to that point of enlightenment. He needed 14 weeks of practice after years of preparing for that as well. So timing is of the essence. You want to have some significant attainment and have a way to change your lives for the better, and in particular, want to make major contributions to the world. Okay, Chan is one of the best ways, the fastest ways for you to acquire skills. Okay, it's proven right there by him. It's a matter of years, and people became enlightened. It's pretty impressive. Whereas if you look at the other practices, like our colleagues in the Hinayana tradition, they need at least decades for that to happen. Okay? So he started around the 1960s with very little support, got to San Francisco, and it still had very little support. So we're talking about in the span of 4 or 5 years, people were able to become enlightened. Okay? So that's very, very impressive. All right, any questions or comments? And that's why we talk about gratitude. Gratitude is just not words. You have to do something to show gratitude. There's a difference between us and the others. The others keep on talking and talking and talking. We quietly do things. Okay, we help. What things? We help people become enlightened. Master YongHua talked about 3 things that my generation, his disciples, I don't include myself amongst them, but his disciples are supposed to do. 2nd generation Mahayana, he said that it's clear to us, education. Okay, we need to educate the next generation, otherwise there's no replacements for Buddhist disciples. They get older and the young ones are not believers anymore, so we need to educate them properly. Okay, not only for Buddhism, but also to help them contribute to society. And number 2 is translation. And number 3 is to train the people. And somehow I feel that it got distorted because I heard from their mouths, not from Master YongHua's mouth, so I don't know what exactly he told them. But my learning for learning about his Dharma was about secondhand. He didn't teach me directly that much. So the one thing that they did very well, my peers, or my elders, if you will, because I'm the last one of that generation. they did very well is translation. Did an outstanding job. It's a very difficult thing to do, translation. And that whole organization there did an outstanding job. Kudos to them. It started with Master YongHua and it carried on. Okay? And as far as education goes, not impressive, not impressed. And as far as training goes, so I would say translation is an A minus. Education would be C plus. And training, you pick a grade. Okay? So again, I hope that you show gratitude. We all show gratitude to his great sacrifices by forgetting about ourselves and just become enlightened. Find a way to become enlightened. And that's it. That's all we have to do. That's all he asks for. And then, once you become enlightened, you need to figure out a way to help others become enlightened as well. Because becoming enlightened is not enough. People become enlightened and then forget about helping others become enlightened and do not prioritize it. It's because these people don't have a high level enough of enlightenment. Okay, I went to Korea and I saw a couple of enlightened monks. They took their teaching very seriously. They tried to teach their disciples, and even though they tried very hard, they didn't have the skills to help those disciples become enlightened. Okay, but they tried. They tried, and it showed, because that generation of their disciples, and many of them became fourth-stage arhats. Okay, but here in the U.S. we have bodhisattvas, where enlightened people who are quite a bit higher than over there, and yet we don't know how to train our people properly. There's no excuse for that. All right, continue, please. So now we move on to San Francisco, falling into the seas, breaking off and falling into the seas.
我曾经对你们当时各位讲，我说绝对我不准他搬到海里去，这三藩市不准他搬到海里去。
As I told you before, I would never allow it to sink into the sea. This San Francisco, I will never allow it to sink into the sea.
为什么呢？他要如果往海里搬，我也要到海里去，我不愿意到。
Why is that? If it sinks into the sea, then I need to move into the sea as well.
海去见这个海龙王呢，也不愿意给海龙王去说法。
I am unwilling to move into the sea to meet the Sea Dragon King. I am unwilling to speak Dharma to the Sea Dragon King.
我现在要给西方的美国人说法。
Now, I want to speak Dharma for the Americans in the West.
所以呀，三藩市，我除非离开三藩市，我要在三藩市，就不准他搬到海里去。
So, for San Francisco, unless I leave San Francisco, as long as I am still in San Francisco, I will not allow it to sink into the sea.
那是头一年，我这样讲。第二年，那个人还是这样讲，没有对大家这么说。
This was the first year. I said so. The second year, people still said so. So, I said this to everybody again.
可是啊，到现在当然是没有还到海里去。就我说的话，可以说是应验。
But even now, San Francisco still didn't sink into the sea. So, you can say that what I said has become true. That's the wrap of San Francisco.
No comment.
我们在去年春天的时候，有人听见我说过，说今年呢会有5个人去出家受戒。
Last spring, somebody heard that I said this year there will be 5 people living the home life and receiving precepts.
当时啊没有那么多，当时是有一个果前，一个果明，还有那个小沙弥，我知道他就不在数。
At that time, we didn't have that many people. We only had Guo Qian, Guo Ning, and that little novice. I knew I couldn't count on him.
那么果然去年秋天就凑了5个人去受戒，这也是这个我预先说出的。
But still said that there would be 5 of them. Sure enough, last fall, we gathered 5 people to receive precepts. This was also what I said in advance before.
那么今年这个长期，我也预先告诉你，一定要有1个人，最低限度是1个人开悟。
Then this year's Chanqi, I also tell you in advance, we must have 1 person, at least 1 person, who becomes enlightened.
1个人开悟的就是first，就是在西方第1个开悟。
This enlightened person would be the first one to become enlightened in the West.
你们谁要是愿意做西方第1个开悟的，就不要懒惰，不要为头低低的。
Whoever wants to be the first enlightened person in the West, then you shouldn't be lazy. Don't lower your head.
你要是不愿意也要愿意，为什么呢？
If you don't want to do as I said, even if you don't want to do, you still have to do so. Why is that?
你遇到这个不讲道理的师傅，怎么可以不愿意？没有理由说出来一个不愿意。
Because you met this unreasonable master, how can you not want to do it? There is no reason for you to not want to do it.
我们这是我预先和你们说这个3个例子，你们要不开悟我就。
These are the 3 lists I tell you in advance. If you don't become enlightened, not enlightened.
喝出来犯法，我就犯戒犯法，我就把你们杀了。你看厉害。
Even if it means to break the law, even if I have to break the precept, and to break the law, I will kill you all. You see, is that serious or not?
这个虽然是个木头，你可以砍死人，可以砍掉人， 连着脑袋。
Although this incense board is made of wood, but it can chop people to death as well. It can chop people's head off.
所以呢，因为我费了这么多的心血来想栽培出来真正法器，真正弘法的人才。
So, because I spent so much heart and blood in order to train this pure Dharma vessel, this true talent to propagate the Dharma.
我们不成功，不成功就失败，大家都知道。
What if I don't succeed? If I don't succeed, that means failure. Then none of us should live anymore.
Okay, that's very Chinese. So dramatic. I beg to differ. Okay, this is too Chinese. I don't like it. The master made predictions in the past. He says San Francisco. He said San Francisco would not fall into the sea. Some people would lead the home life. 5 people of them would lead the home life and receive the full precepts. When a year before, there were only a couple of novices, one and a third one who's undependable. And so he kept on making these predictions, and that's because he has the heavenly eye. He can see what's going to happen. So that's his edge over the rest of us. Yes, 8.
Chris L. asks, Master, is enlightenment bestowed to us by the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, or is it a phenomenon that comes naturally through diligent cultivation?
I come to that. And so then he made his prediction, someone would become enlightened, okay? And he said, anyone could become enlightened. What does it take to become enlightened? What is required is for you to not be lazy, okay? And that's correct. Okay, you have this, we all have this wonderful Dharma that is proven to help people become enlightened. And he says, you should not be lazy, okay? And that's the, maybe that was appropriate for the people back then in 1970s. Maybe there are a lot of flower girls and hippies, and therefore they wanted to take it easy. They're there maybe for free shelter and free food, okay? So it's understandable, you shouldn't be lazy, okay? So those are the times, so those are mindsets of the people. I feel that the instruction I would like to give to you, instead of being lazy, okay, is I stress again, follow the schedule. The schedule is the recipe, if you will. When you cook, you need to have a recipe. Okay, the schedule is a recipe, a secret recipe. It's there, but no one understands why. None of you understands why. Okay, but there's a recipe there, and you follow the recipe, you definitely will have a great chance at becoming enlightened. Okay, and now he said, furthermore, there's another requirement is do not be lazy. Okay, I would paraphrase it as work harder. None of you is lazy. You made a lot of sacrifices to come here, and you work very hard. You are willing to endure a lot of suffering, a lot of hardship. Okay, and you're very sincere. Okay, so to tell you that you shouldn't be lazy will be not adding anything to your understanding. I want to stress to you, okay, you're very special people. Not too loud, okay? And that's why what you are outstanding already. In order for you to get there quicker, you have to work harder every day. It's not about being lazy. It's about working harder. Any problems with that? No one gonna accuse you of being lazy. Okay, I will be the last one to tell you that you're lazy. You're not. You're all working hard. And it shows, okay? But work harder. Okay? Whatever harder means to you. Any questions? Yes, 9.
Thank you, Master. I'm really enjoying getting to know Great Master YongHua through these recordings. My limited knowledge of Chinese is that the Chinese language has different tones. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Is sarcasm one of the tones in Chinese?
Not sure, but the sound has it goes up, goes down, or has inflection and so forth, or flat. Okay, compared, for example, to French language, especially from Parisian, the Parisian region, then you speak flat from beginning to end. And that's supposed to be classy, okay? It's kind of speech, kind of talk. But the Chinese, they go up and down a lot. There are a lot of inflections. And maybe part of it, maybe the Chinese can help us understand better. Maybe satire or irony might be part of the inflection. I don't know. I would guess it is, but I'm no authority on the Chinese language. Chinese people speak up.
There is a way to speak the same sentence in just to express yourself as a flat meaning or say it in a sarcastic way. It's said in kind of in the tone. And you have to really read in between the words to understand or have the cultural background to understand what they're saying. And in ancient time, the scholars is very proud that they can make fun of other people without saying any dirty word. And if they can make fun of other people with the other people not knowing, thinking that they're praising them, then they're really proud. They think they achieved something.
Well, yeah, you can see that in Chinese movies, Korean movies, they make fun of, lowly people.
So was Venerable, a Great Master YongHua, being sarcastic? Because when I hear it that way, I'm enjoying it. I'm cracking up. I'm like, my head's gonna get cut off. All right, rad.
Yeah.
I don't. But if he's being serious, like I'm kind of like I'm out.
Well, actually, he's trying to make a point. The point here is that never lose sight of why you're doing this. Okay? You're doing this, and we're doing all this. We make the effort to do all this. Is in order to have a meaning in our lives. Because if all we do is wake up in the morning, have breakfast, and go to work and go home and so forth, then the life would have been in vain. Okay, so now these people have a chance to go to that Chanqi and practice under the Great Master. He says, if you don't become enlightened, we lose sight of this goal here. If you don't understand why we're doing this, then I cut your head off because you're stupid. You don't deserve to live. Okay, so this is his way of reminding us. I like to remind you that at various stages in your life, you pursue your passion and your interests. At some point in time in your life, you have a moment where you say, what is my life about? What's the meaning of my life? It will happen to many of you. And I hope that day of reckoning where you look at yourself and say, well, you know, my life had meaning. And so he says, in the same vein, he said, you people come to this chanchi here, and you're lazy. You miss out on the boat again, and therefore, I might as well cut your head off. Okay? On the other hand, if you are not lazy, then some of you will become enlightened. Okay? Any of you can become enlightened simply from not being lazy and do what you're supposed to do. Okay? And that's the indirect answer to the question earlier. How does this enlightenment happen? Happens naturally. It happens because each person is different. Some people, it happens pretty fast. And some others, it takes a little bit longer, okay? But it doesn't matter. What matters is whatever is suitable to you. Well, you each progress at your own pace. That's all that matters, okay? So the person who is responsible for that is a Chanchi master. He has to look at you and say, well, okay, you are progressing properly. That's good enough. Okay, so that's what he was doing for them. He says, I see some of you, maybe one, maybe more of you are nearing, like the rice is almost cooked already. That's why I have to speak up. Do not slack off. Continue. Okay? And do not be lazy. So that was his instruction, because the rice is almost cooked. It's almost done. It's very active. It's not like a casual thing where you come and you sit and and I speak Dharma to you and then we feel so great about ourselves. We're superior. We're practicing Chan. Baloney. We're all doing this in order for you to become enlightened. There's no other reason. Okay, and again, you're not enlightened this week. It will be next week, or the following week, or maybe following lifetime, whatever. But what we're doing is plant the seeds for that to happen. Okay, and what he didn't stress, and I want to stress to you, because I never had that kind of luxury. Because no one ever told me. And the Chinese don't make it clear. You don't quit. You don't decide for yourself. You don't say, I'm going nowhere. I'm not happy. Okay? Or, I want to become enlightened right now. I want to make progress right now. If not, it's a waste of my time. You are not wise enough to make that decision. How do you know you're not making progress? How do you know you're not being taught? And this is where the Chinese fail. The old Chinese are old in China, the good teachers, like I can think of one person, that which we will discuss his work, Master YongHua, the seventh patriarch. Okay, he came to saw Master Huineng, okay, and to seek certification. He got certification. He said, "Okay, thank you. I'm leaving now." And Master Huineng says, "Please don't go. At least stay one night." So YongHua felt obligated, so he stayed one night and left the following day. Okay? It's like assuming you know better how to take care of yourself, how to make further progress than your teacher. That's how stupid YongHua was. I'm sorry. I'm not impressed with that kind of behavior. No one ever taught me that. Because there's certain professional integrity for us. We may be beggars, but we have professional integrity. We're doing this because we have this ideal, we have these goals we need to do. It's not just because we want to be monks and nuns that we teach you, or we build more temples, or we get more people to become Buddhists. That's meaningless. It's about everything is about to help you become enlightened. Pave the way for you to do that. And that's the tradition that Master YongHua brought to this country, which I'm very grateful for. And it doesn't get elaborated. It's not emphasized that standard of behavior of a good no advisor. You are responsible. Otherwise, get out of the way. Okay, continue.
杀了之后，自己他自己会出现不欠，大家都没有脑袋。
After I kill you all, I will cut my head off as well. Haha, we will all be headless.
那么我是这样的，这样一个就是不怕死的一个人。你们要谁怕死呢？就早一点来告诉我，说不行，我不行了，我就怕死了。
This is how I am. I am not afraid of death. Whoever is afraid of death, you should tell me earlier. Just say, "No, I can't do it. I'm afraid of death."
So he said in a very casual way that I'm not afraid of death and you shouldn't be either. But actually what underlies this Buddhist truth, Buddhist wisdom, is that people are afraid of death. They're afraid to die. Who's not afraid to die? Okay? So he says, I'm not afraid to die. And you're here, you stick around here, you shouldn't be either. That's the difference. You're out there, you're afraid to die. You live your life, and underlying your life is this fear of death. Yes or no? We all have this tremendous fear of death. We are emperors, we are kings and queens, we are rich, we are powerful, we are smart, We are geniuses, and we're all afraid of one thing called death. And that is a proof that we have no wisdom. You still have the fear of death, then you have no wisdom. How can you trust yourself? You think you're so smart, you can figure it out, yet you cannot figure out the biggest problem you have, death. You know so much. You know about sciences, you know about religion, you know about God, you know about, your faith and everything, but you still have this one fear that your science, your God, your religion cannot help you resolve it. It's that death thing. You still are afraid of it. Unless you're crazy. And that's the path of no wisdom. That's what we call worldly pursuits. Because what do you want to do? You spend your life, you live your life, and you come here for, you go there, people went there for 14 weeks, is to learn how to be no longer afraid of death. Unfortunately, he put it in a way that cannot be taken seriously. He's not afraid of death. It doesn't matter, he's not afraid of death. It's you should not be afraid of death. You should learn not to be afraid of death. You should practice, do things in order to resolve this fear of death. Until that happens, you have no wisdom. You live your life in confusion. All right, continue, please.
今天呢，因为在第4个礼拜呀，我看，人还都不会坐，不会行。
Today, because on the 4th week, I saw people still can't sit properly or walk properly.
"今天呢，因为在第4个礼拜呀，我看，人还都不会坐，不会行。所以你们讲，不是对你们发脾气，希望你们不怕。
That's why I'm letting you know. This is not me losing my temper at you. I hope that you all are not afraid of death.
How? See, it bothers me when I hear instruction like this, because I did hear instruction like this from a Chinese. It's too abstract. I hope you're not afraid of death. Tell me how to not be afraid of death. I hope he tells us later.
No, he didn't.
Yes, 9. Lack of specificity. And that's too Chinese.
Thank you, Master.
It's such a beautiful, beautiful thing. You should not be afraid of death. And here's how.
I want to give you my sincere gratitude because you have specifically taught me how not to be afraid of death. I didn't realize you were doing it over the years, but slowly I've come to understand a little bit. When you teach me about planting seeds for blessings, when you teach me about how to cross my legs, and when you teach me about preparing for death. I don't think, well, right now, I don't see any way that I wouldn't still be afraid whenever death comes for me, but I sure feel a lot less afraid because I know I've committed towards cultivation and made a vow to go to the Pure Land.
Very good. Yeah. Well, you say people are afraid of death. You should not be afraid of death. You have to help them. Do things that will help them become less afraid of death. Okay? So this is again a cultural thing. The Chinese are different from us. The Chinese have this built-in the culture, the respect for the Sangha. The Buddhism is so interwoven the culture, deeply ingrained in the system, more than even the people nowadays realize, and even more than the communists realize. Communist system realizes. The educational, maybe a communist orientation will go towards materialistic things, but the culture is have so much depth about all this wisdom, okay, that still is in the background. So it's very remarkable, okay, but they lack specificity. That's why they're still around. If it's specific, they would have disappeared already. Okay, but it comes to our terrain, our territory, then we need to be more specific to catch up with them. Okay. Because people are afraid of death. We need to do something to help them resolve that fear, okay, and lessen that fear. All right, continue, please.
Then how was your practice today? Tell us your experience.
Yeah, that I did. Nothing happened over my birthday today. There were a lot of names. I found out their name is called in the morning. It was 2 hours. Yeah.
这个是日本人，不是日本人，那是谁？
No, it's not Vietnamese. It's a Vietnamese. It was Vietnamese.
No matter who went out, when you get back, you should report and tell everybody.
不是啊，出去是个聋子，回来是个哑巴。到外面去，什么也听不见，人家讲的这是个聋子。
You shouldn't go out as a deaf and come back as a mute. When you go out, if you don't hear a thing, that's a deaf.
回来也不说话，这就是变成哑巴。
You go outside, you know.
When you get back, if you don't talk, that's a mute. What I said earlier, any of them has any objection? Do they have any question?
After he
现在就是的话，我们最近应该是有两个朋友从那个时候来离开这个常常自己
单修是修法，是修法。单修法可以，修法，你只要是修法。
It is okay if it's just for cultivating the Dharma, as long as you're cultivating the Dharma.
What for? Yeah, I'm impatient. I cultivate the Dharma. What for? I only have this one life. I only have so many years left in my life. If I cultivate Dharma, what for? This is what I have a problem with the Chinese. They keep on talking, I cultivate. My question is that, what for? You hop in your car, what for? You lift weight, what for? I mean, we Westerners are very, very goal-oriented. We don't want to waste our lives, our time. You cultivate the Dharma. It's just like now, this is what I hear from a Chinese. I cultivate. Vietnamese, a Korean, I cultivate. And my question, what for? Where are you going? So now it sounds like I'm better than you because I cultivate. I'm raising the stakes. You cultivate. I ask you what for? You think you're better than me. Fine. Why are you cultivating? Where are you going? What is your goal? Have you got it? How far are you? How close are you? And this is why you're going to surpass the Chinese, because they talk too much, including the Mahayana Chinese. They talk too much. They cultivate. It really annoys me. They have the whole system of people who cultivate over there. They cultivate. I ask them, what for? You don't even know where you're going. Why do you bother cultivating? It's so Chinese. This is why we have to take over. Because our culture is goal-oriented. The Chinese talk. We count our money. Yeah, the Chinese keep on talking, I'm cultivating. But we see, we are much more concrete. We're counting our achievements. That's what makes us American Mahayana, no longer Chinese Mahayana, because I want to know why you cultivate. Why are you doing this? And it's great. I love the Asian cultures where the Koreans cultivate, the Vietnamese cultivate, Chinese cultivate. But I, as American, more American than any of the other ethnicity, is that, what for? I don't have much time left. Don't tell me to cultivate. Because after I die, chances are that I will not get this human body again. That's what the Buddha said. So I cultivate. After I die, I lose this body, and I won't be able to cultivate anymore. So why am I cultivating? Well, the Vietnamese or the Chinese are saying, I recite the Buddha's name in order to go to the Pure Land. I say, what makes you think you go to the Pure Land? We, Westerner Americans, are very, very specific. We're not easily impressed with big words, I go to the Pure Land. I dedicate my life to recite Buddha's name because I want to go to the Pure Land. What makes you think you can go to the Pure Land? You practice, you sit in your hut for 10 years. What makes you think you're going to improve? And that's why the monks and nuns can hide behind it. Let's cultivate together. Baloney! I don't accept that. I go to your Chanchi. I expect you to guide me. You don't guide me, you don't teach me, you're wasting my life. I'm wasting my life with you. Enough of that. You cannot hide behind your reputation, behind your talk. This is United States of America. We want results. We put our money into investment banker. I expect a certain rate of return. If I buy into cryptocurrency, I want to become a millionaire. If not, I do something else. We are mercenaries. So how are they going to reach the Americans like us that keep on talking, we cultivate? I mean, it's great that Asians have this wonderful tradition where they respect the Sangha, they believe in Buddhism, they believe in God, they believe in, whatever, okay? It's wonderful. The Indians believe in Vishnu and so forth, okay? But we need to be more specific. Otherwise, we never catch up with them. If you want to catch up with the Chinese and the Vietnamese and the Asians and so forth, you need to be better than they are. And we are. They talk. And I have never been impressed with talk. That's why I don't talk until after we deliver. So I remind the Asians again, I appreciate your hard work and your dedication to cultivation, but do not lose sight of where you're going. Why you're doing Chan. Okay? Otherwise, especially nowadays where we have a lot of mental illnesses. Many people are bipolar. Many people are depressed. Many people are manic. And such people, they lose sight. They easily are manipulated to lose sight of their perspective, lose their perspectives. And that's what we're fighting against. It's our condition, it's our reality. You cannot talk like the Chinese anymore. We cultivate. You cultivate in circles. That's what you do. You have no sense in direction. And you fool yourself. You think you can figure it out. Let me stress to you, you cannot figure it out. Don't think you can figure it out. There are two kinds of people. Okay? Who disagree with me. One is totally stupid. And the other think I'm totally stupid. There's nothing else in between. Okay? Meaning that they can figure it out. Already. That's why they took a look at me and said, you're speaking nonsense. Otherwise, the stupid ones are the ones who reject you and badmouth you and slanders you and judges you. The other is, you're just stupid. I have no way to, there's no other way to describe you. YongHua, you're stupid. Okay? No but and if. It's a fallacy of worldly people to think they can figure it out. Only a few people I know of that can figure it out, like Master YongHua. He's a track record. His entire life, you look at his biography, his entire life is about figuring things out himself. He practically has no teacher. He figured it out. But that you see a track record of that. Whereas these people, worldly people, they kind of keep on talking and talking and talking and flaunting their knowledge and acquiring knowledge, but they can't figure it out. Okay, continue.
不是懒惰，不是到一边去睡觉去，不是到一边去弄这么一个好像个虾米似的。
Not being lazy, not going aside to sleep, not going aside to be like a shrimp.
Okay, this is why I disagree with him again. This is too Hinayana. Okay, I used to be ashamed of myself. Okay, I'll be honest with you. I went to these chanchis, I was lazy. I prefer to go rest, sleep. It's endless. You know, I sit all day and then what? And I have a question at night. 8 o'clock, came 8 o'clock. From 8 to 9, there's the instructional talk. We play this tape here, Master YongHua, they translate it, and then at the end, for 5 minutes, you're allowed to ask questions. So for 55 minutes, I had so many questions. Why did he say so? Why lazy? And why not going to sleep? Because I am lazy, and by nature, I'm Westerner. I like to be lazy. It's my right to be lazy. It's my duty to be lazy. Okay, and when I'm so tired, I'm going to go to sleep. You know, they're not going to shame me, because I know I work harder than the Chinese, the people who sat with me. I work harder than them. I sat longer than the guy who sat next to me. So when I'm tired, I'm going to go to sleep. I don't care what you say. so that tomorrow I will sit longer than this guy again. I have this reputation back then, even without instruction, I sit longer than anyone else. And not knowing a darn thing what I was doing. So people say, I was cultivating. For what? For nonsense. So, this is too Chinese. Yes, if you grind it out like this, it is time for you to grind it out. Okay? You should not be lazy. You should know we get some rest because when you're tired, it's proper, it's correct. However, there are limitations because in this day and age, you're going to break your legs. You're going to pass out. Your ankles going to be swollen. Okay? You're going to have problems. If you tell people not to be lazy, not to go rest, you better be able to fix those things for them. Master Shenhua is there. I agree, if he could do those things. But we cannot give these kind of instructions anymore. It's not reasonable. It's crazy. Back then, life is not worth much. Here, life is still not worth much, but the lawyers are very expensive. They're going to sue us to death. This is nonsense. Okay? I advocate moderation. Work harder, but when you have problems, rest until you recover and continue. Do not be crazy. You're not left from people like us. You need to use moderation. I'm very proud of the fact that my disciples, especially monks and nuns and those lay people who wish to teach, they pick up on this spirit. We have the responsibility that when we teach you, that we want to help you. Yes, you can see many of them can't still sit straight on the bend over with their heads, and I haven't cut their heads off yet. Okay? You see, so I don't care about lowering the head like Master Shenhua. Okay? But this desire here, this sense of responsibility. When we teach you Chan, we are supposed to help you. You show up, we're supposed to help you the best way we can. We can't, we ask for help. That I'm very proud of in my disciples. Okay, I remember Sianan used not to be even able to sit in full lotus in front of a group of 70, 80 people. Okay, in her session, she could sit for half lotus, that's all, and she's teaching them about full lotus. Can you imagine? I was so embarrassed. And she got away with it. Everywhere she went, she just she blabber, but couldn't even sit in full lotus. And I allowed it. You know why? Because she would come back and ask me, I cannot teach this person. How do I help this person? Then she's doing what she's supposed to do. Help people. That's our professional ethics. When we teach, it's in order to help you. Not because we want to be, have a lot of disciples, have a lot of students, or we feel obligated to teach you because you've been, when that time comes, we've been disciples of mine, therefore you need to take care of them because they will continue to give you money and food and, and cars and so forth. What kind of baloney is that? It's not why you're doing this. You're doing this in order to help people. Learn how to help people. Dedicate yourself to acquire the skills to help people. And it starts first with you helping your own family your friends, yourself. And not talk. That's the problem we have, the Asian. They talk too much. I cultivate. I say, what for? You cultivate for 20 years, reciting Buddha's name, but at a drop of a hat, you blow your top. And get so angry that you're terrifying. That's not helping people. Okay, continue.
虾，你看那个虾米纯，那就这么样子，这样子，不要弄那个样子就可以。这个一切都要，所以方才我。
A shrimp, you see, if you look at that shrimp, it's like that, like that. It's okay to be like that. It all need to be.
也不要欺骗世界，也不要欺骗人，也不要欺骗自己，啊。
So, I just said, do not lie. Do not lie to the world. Do not lie to other people. Also, do not lie to yourself.
总而言之，做事情做得很，你只要修法，怎么样都可以的。
All in all, when you do things, as long as you're cultivating the Dharma, you can do anything.
你就怕你不是专为修法。
I'm only afraid that you're not focused on cultivating the Dharma.
Wait, okay, wait. And this is where I think he's wrong. His condition is so hard. You know, they get up early in the morning, he slept very little, and they practice all day, and he's afraid that they're lazy. That doesn't make sense to me. As long as they don't quit, they're working hard. I don't understand, even though why he's so obsessed about this, because there's some people who are there just for the free ride. They will come and eat and relax and chat with people and so forth. That's okay too, but they're not. They're not. You don't have to be worried about them. With time, they will get serious when they see that they can get a lot more out of it. So there's no need to pressure people. Why is he so afraid that they're not focused on cultivating a Dharma? The Dharma, okay, and this is where I do disagree with him. The Dharma is like a self-serve buffet. It's there. All there laid out for you. You take whatever you want. We're not afraid you're not going to take anything. You don't want to take anything, go to a Chinese restaurant. I don't care. But if you're here, as long as you hang around buffet, you will pick up things eventually. Okay, so there's no need to worry about whether you cultivate the Dharma or not. As long as you stick around, keep them coming and coming and coming. You're cultivating to me, even if you lower your heads or lie down and sleep. Unless, there's one exception. In the past, I tolerated everything. Crying, screaming, shaking like crazy, beating your head against the statues. Everything is okay. Anything is okay, except for one thing. Disrespectful people, I have no tolerance for them. Because you're not respectful, you cannot be taught. As long as you're respectful, but you're stupid, I can put up with you. But there's some people who are too smart, look at me and say, oh, you're too stupid. Then what are you doing here? Teach me. Teach me where I'm stupid. Don't just tell me I'm stupid. Tell me where I'm stupid. So that's the thing. I'm the only thing that you have to be aware of. As long as they are not disrespectful, we can put up with anything and everything. When they are disrespectful, forget it. Okay, we're wasting our time. They're wasting our time here, their times here, because we can't teach them. All right, continue. Oh, he has a question in the back? Yes, sorry about that, number one.
Thank you, Master. How can I use a chant to minimize my fear? Recite mantra, meditation, or continue to cultivate? What else?
What are you afraid of?
I'm afraid of
specifics.
Death. Yes.
Are you afraid of the dark?
Yes, dark and death.
At night, when it's dark, you're afraid to go out there.
Yes, I had when I was a child, I had a traumatized for the light, the dark. So
Me too. Can I tell you my childhood trauma? We live in the boonies. I mean, actually, in the ancient capital of Vietnam. So it's not really the boonies. But I was so frightened of the dark because in Asia, when it's dark, there's lots of ghosts. Okay, there's so many of them. It's not even funny. Okay, here in civilized countries, there are very few of them because we chase them away. Okay, the dogs chase them away and so forth. But in those less developed countries, the ghosts everywhere, ghosts and demons everywhere. So it's very frightening. So I'm sorry to put it this way for you, but you might find it funny at night. When there's no running water, there's no toilet. So I felt the urge to go before sleeping. So I would step out, away, go outside for about 5 steps and stand there and do my work and rush right back. Every day, every night, it's like that. So this fear of the dark is not, it's commonplace.
And I think I had the same experience, especially I was in the.
But you have the bathrooms now.
When I was in my grandma house long time ago when I was little, there's no proper restroom, so I have to go outside darkness.
Proper restroom? What do you mean? It's proper everywhere.
I mean, flush toilet. That wasn't. It was actually you have to do.
I resent that. I mean, we go to the restroom anywhere in my country.
Well, my grandma didn't have that, that restroom, but there was no light. It was just pure darkness and
scary.
Scary.
Yeah.
I was little, and I think that really made me really afraid of it too. The noises. Mm-hmm. So, how do I overcome this fear?
It's not just the dark. It's also what happened is that your particular case is that they harass you. Your creditors harass you in so many ways. It's not even funny. Okay, and so you're gonna have all sorts of fears. You're gonna have anxiety. You're gonna have worries. Okay, there are really nonsense. Okay, and you constantly question yourselves. And that's just the way it is. Okay, it's called a karmic retribution. Okay, and so So you have to pay the karmic debts, so hopefully eventually to be paid. Okay, that's one way. And this I'm talking about in general mental conditions. When people have anxiety, people are depressed, they're manic and so forth. Why I call them mental illnesses, mental conditions. Okay, and it's just it's a lot more commonplace. You think you're not the only one, by the way. Most people have those issues. They are not willing to talk about it. They're afraid to admit they have those issues. Okay, it's so prevalent. Okay. And so it's very brave of you to bring it up. So you're actually helping a lot of people. Unless you bring it up, I'm not going to address it. Okay? So this is a way of life for us in the 21st century. It's going to get worse. You run into people who are who have so many afflictions, and they affect us. Okay. Not just you yourself, also others are affecting us. Okay, so and it's from a Buddhist perspective, is our karmic retribution. Okay, so that we enduring the suffering, and therefore the one thing that you ought to do first is to embrace it. To recognize you have these unfounded fears, these anxieties, and you should immediately recognize they're unfounded. If you recognize they're unfounded, then it really immediately, drastically reduces the effect on you. That's number one. No rhyme or reason. You just have anxiety. It's totally nonsense. And if you keep on thinking about it, you will come up with so many reasons to justify why. Okay? So all you have to do is say, hey, I'm anxious. Forget it. Okay? Accept it, but don't dig into why, into rationalizing and so forth. This is how they affect us. And so accept the fact that we're going to be affected by ourselves and by others. Okay? And when that happens, okay, you just have to understand, have this faith that as long as you keep improving, when you next get to the next level, then the grip on you is lessened. Next level is further lessened. So the antidote is to improve. Commit to improve. Because if you want to get out from under the influence, you have to improve. That's the bottom line. And you are so lucky because I tell you that there's so many people out there who have these issues. And they don't cultivate. They don't believe in that. Try to tell them to meditate. It's not for me. And that's the only way I know of who can address those issues. Okay? Because why? Let me tell you. What they're doing, those beings who are harassing you, they're planting thoughts in your mind. That's what they do. Thoughts of anxiety, thoughts of depression, thoughts of mania, thoughts of craziness, whatever, thoughts of cravings, okay, including craving for food. The thoughts are planted in you. Craving for tacos. You know what I mean? So that's how they operate. And when I do this, I get in trouble with them. They attack my disciples. But you have to realize eventually, as that's all they do is to manipulate you. by planting thoughts in you, and some of you, so many that you cannot recognize it's not your own. You think it's your own thought, but they're not. Okay, and it's very difficult for you to discern until you get a higher level. And you say, that's not me. It's not me. It's not me. Okay, that's the only antidote I know of, because so many of them. Okay, so I would number one, realize I wish to pay off my debts. We cannot run away from that. Okay, and the more we pay off, the quicker we'll be able to get out from under the grip, the influence. And then the other thing you can do for yourself is to improve. Because improving meaning you out of range for a certain group of these beings. And you improve more of them are left behind. Okay? And because of that, eventually you get to the point where, like my disciples, I can start teaching them how to help others who have the same afflictions. Like, I have those afflictions too myself. Fear of the dark, fear of death, cravings for food, and so forth. All right. Did you still have a question?
No, you answered that question. Is exactly like something's planting my thoughts into my head, and because that thoughts becomes reality, and I think I saw something, and there's numerous times that at nighttime I scream so loud that my poor husband has to wake up and wondering what happened. I mean, I scream really loud, and he literally
only screaming
and I guess yelling. I don't remember what.
That's all?
And I run, I guess.
Wait, what else do you do at night? I remember when I was younger, a child, I was sleeping with my grandma. Okay. And I would have this dream when I decked her. I really hit her like a boxer. I hit her right at the chin. I said, what are you doing? I'm a violent person. You have problems, nothing compared to mine.
Master,
I beat up on the people who I sleep with.
Master, believe it or not, it happened to be Peter actually punched my face, really, in the middle of the night.
Oh, no, Peter. Wait. Can I say? Can I have a say on this? Okay, Peter, we allowed you to skip the line.
Thank you, Master. I'd like to clarify specifically in this.
You white beater?
So I was having a dream, and I played basketball for a long time when I was young. And I love watching the NBA on TNT with Kenny, Charles, and Chuck, and Shaq. They're so funny. Wow. And for the record, Jeannie's always like, I can't understand anything they say. So, and I love it. I'm always cracking up. So I've been watching the NBA on TNT, and in my dream, I was playing basketball with Charles Barkley, which was exciting. And so he threw me a pass that I went up to dunk, like an alley-oop. And I went up one-handed, and I caught the ball. This was a fantastic moment in my dream. And I went to slam the basketball into the
motion.
hoop.
Yes.
And then the middle of that, my fist came down, and Jeannie's like, oh my gosh. And boop, I hit Jeannie. That's what happened.
How many times?
One time only.
And okay, let's air the dirty laundry. But? What do you mean, but?
And
That's the only time you remember?
that's the most infamous time I remember. Jeannie, you're going to have to give specifics on other times, but what I can...
Some other times. He meant, what he meant is that not now. Not the other times where, no, it's just, honey, not now.
What I can share is that it is a great relief that for Jeannie, before we go to bed at night, she'll say, if I need to wake you up in the middle of the night, can I wake you up? Like if I need to go to the bathroom or anything like that? And I always say, yes, honey, of course you can. And 9 times out of 10, she doesn't wake me up. But there have definitely been instances where she will be screaming in bed late at night.
Okay, let's hear about those episodes. Your chance to get back,
Okay.
even the...
She'll be screaming at night and I'll wake up and I'll be like, are you okay? Are you okay? And she doesn't stop. She doesn't stop for a moment. And I think it's because she's so scared. Sometimes when Jeannie's walking to and from the bathroom, she will get really scared, and she didn't have like athletic training like I did. Like in baseball, if you're going to steal a base, you know how to like move your hips and you run really fast. But so she starts running in place. She's like, I want to go somewhere, but she doesn't go anywhere, and her legs just go up and down.
Wow, that's crazy.
And yeah,
Go on.
I think for now that's
Don't stop.
But that's the consistent patterns that happen.
Yes. Okay, let's allow the 8, because he's been raising his hand to the point he's so tired now.
Master, there's 3 questions and 1 request. So from Pingteng Qingqing, Master, I heard that Taiwan has all kinds of yin things, ghosts, etc. It's common to hear ghost haunted hotels in Singapore, Thai, and Taiwan. Do you know why, Master?
No, I don't.
Second question. I am also very afraid of things in general. Am I also being harassed by my karmic creditors frequently? Master?
Probably. Move on.
Master YongHua Vietnamese channel. Can I share a story? Jared saw a ghost.
Yes. That's it?
Master, so a few weeks ago, after we finished the lecture here, and then we came back to LMT, and then when we get ready to go to bed, and then I was in the restroom, and then suddenly Jared knocked on the door, the restroom door, and they say that, oh, mommy, someone is waiting outside in front of the door. And I said, okay, wait for a little bit. I came out, and then I did not see anything. But then he kept pointing at the door. He said, I saw someone out there. I say, no, Jared, I didn't see anything. I even turned on the light outside to prove to him that there's nobody there. And then I show him on the screen like there's no movement or whatever. But he kept pointing like, no, I saw a person. And then he kept staring at the door, and then he's so scared. And then he said like, oh my goodness, the person is getting to the room. And then you know what, even though I didn't see anything, but 2 of us rushed into my room and closed the door. And then he's still scared. He say, the guy is waiting outside. And I say, okay, Jared, how about now we recite the Buddha's name? But before we do that, can you talk to him, say that now I would like to recite the Buddha's name and transfer the merit and virtue to you, and I am so scared, please do not make me scared. And And then after that, I and him recite the Buddhas together. And I think less than 10 minutes. And then suddenly he stopped, he said, oh, the guy disappeared. So I think maybe when we talk to them and then we transfer the merit and virtue to them, maybe they will stop haunting us.
Hey, that's a neat trick. Yeah, okay, very good. Thank you for sharing. Okay, number 8.
Pington Chinching has a request. Master, please help us to be able to get to the temple smoothly tomorrow for fasting. We are being prevented tomorrow to go to WMT due to rain, as I found out my tires being dangerous to be on the rains. Thanks.
Okay, go ahead, Conk.
안녕하세요, 마스터 아미타푸.
안녕하세요.
짧은 저의 경험과 관련된 질문을 좀 드리려고 합니다. 최근 근 한 달 사이에 단식을 오래 한 분들에 비해서 너무 미천하지만은 회사에 이렇게 다니면서 일주일에 한두 번 정도 이렇게 일종식을 합니다. 그러니까 회사에서 이제 점심시간 11시 반 정도에 오전에 먹고 저녁을 안 먹고 이제 그 다음 날이 되죠. 거의 한 23시간 반 정도 안 먹고 그다음에 먹고 이렇게 일주일에 한두 번을 하는데 하고 일종식을 한 날은 굉장히 저녁에 예를 들어서 와이프가 어떤 일이 있어서 저한테 짜증을 내거나 아니면 집안에 좀 안 좋은 일이 있어서 제가 어떤 번뇌스러운 일이 있을 때 확실히 물론 짜증이 아예 안 나는 건 아니지만 자비심이 증장돼서 자비를 좀 관할 수 있는 능력이 좀 향상되는 것을 이제 느낍니다. 그래서 더욱 좀 일종식을 해야 되겠다라는 생각을 요즘 하고 있는데요. 근데 이제 어떤 부분이 있었냐면 그러니까 일종식을 이제 하고 회사에서 일을 마치고 이제 저녁에 들어오는데 와이프가 저녁 맛있게 먹었어 이렇게 하면 본의 아니게 안 먹었다 그러면 사실 걱정을 많이 하기 때문에 대충 이렇게 둘러대거든요. 사실 점심 때 먹은 거를 얘기를 하면서 그거 되게 맛있었어 이런 식으로 저녁 얘기는 안 하지만 점심 때 뭐 먹었는데 맛있었다 이런 식으로 좀 둘러대는데 그래서 본의 아니게 거짓말이라고 하기까지는 그렇지만 하여튼 진실을 있었던 일을 바로 말하지 못할 때가 있는데 이런 것에 대해서 이제 계율 입장에서 봤을 때 아예 죄업이 안 되진 않겠지만 어느 정도 이제 계를 어기는 것에 포함이 될지 그러니까 선의로 수행을 위해서 어쩔 수 없이 이런 이제 망언을 했을 때 어떻게 좀 계를 어기게 되고 피해 가려면 어떻게 해야 될 수 있을지를 좀 여쭙고 싶습니다.
Master, recently, in a month, for 1 month, I do 1 meal a day. I skip dinner. I only eat lunch while I'm doing work. So what I realized that I got less afflicted and get more compassion if I have 1 meal. But I have some problem in this thing because my wife sometimes asks me, do you have a good dinner? Then I don't want to make her worry about me. So I lied to her. So I told her that what I ate for lunch. And so my question is that to cultivate, sometimes I lie. And then do I break the precept and how can I to repent for that?
Okay, good question. Okay, first of all, I don't recommend you eat 1 meal a day. Even though it works for you, okay, it may not be enough nutrition for you. I recommend that you eat breakfast as well. Okay, at least 2 meals a day. So that way you have some enough nutrients in your body for you to work because you have a stressful job. And therefore, you need the proper nutrients. Because you keep on going 1 meal a day here, in months, you may be sick. You may get sick. So it's not advisable. Okay? It may give you peace of mind right now. I can understand why. When you eat less, you have less energy, and therefore you think less. And that's why it's harder for them to get to you, the beings who harass you, to get to you. Because what they do to harass you is they plant a thought in your head, and then because you have so much energy, you pursue it, you follow it. But when you're tired, like these people who are fasting, one person only. When they're thought, they plant in their head, you say, they're too tired, they just don't care. Okay, and that's why they look like they're at peace, but actually they're so tired. So there's two of them. There's I don't know, whatever. Whatever, okay? So that's why it's beneficial for them, because especially they get harassed often, so that's why they learn to get into a state where they can ignore those thoughts naturally, because they don't have the energy to pursue them anymore, okay? And in contrast, if you there's a problem with that, because your body then lacks nutrition, so you cannot do it long term at all. Okay, so be careful. Do not do 1 meal a day if you're a lay person. We left home people, we're different from you. Here, let me tell you bluntly why we're different. Okay, our environment is not worldly. If our environment is like you, when you go out there and need to make money, need to get promotion and so forth, okay, make a living, then we cannot eat 1 meal a day. But it's because in our environment, we have afflictions and so forth, but we don't have the same worldly pursuits. That's why we can eat 1 meal a day. Okay, in particular, for example, the Sunnis who are, engaged in worldly things, you don't have a hard time eating 1 meal a day, okay? Because the worldly pursuits demand so much energy and calories from you that you go crazy. Okay, so please be careful. Okay, you should eat 2 meals a day at least. I prefer that you eat breakfast, and you can tell your wife that. You say, let's have some breakfast together. And for dinner, if you're working or something, then you can have a light soup or something, okay? Okay, or you can skip it altogether, but do not eat 1 meal a day, I stress, please. Okay, it's not wise, okay? You need the energy, okay? You find right now, but eventually you will run out, and you can get very sick, okay? I'm glad you asked, okay? And as far as lying to your wife and so forth, it's in this case here, it's okay because it's a form of lie, but in order to protect her, okay, from getting afflicted. So in a way, it's acceptable, okay? Preferably, we should try to avoid lying to her if possible, but when it's necessary, you can do that, okay? And then you go to church and repent to the Father, to the priest. Because they allow it. We don't. It's better than nothing. I have embraced the Catholics and Christians too. If whatever works, we should use it too. So go over there and repent. It should help a little bit. Okay? And that's what I call not be afraid of Catholicism or whatever. Same thing with death. You're not afraid of death. Death comes, embrace him. Say, hello, old friend. Okay? All right? Okay, I hope it helps. Okay, do we have any other questions? We still have one question from Kong.
Does Santa Claus exist?
I'm sorry?
Santa Claus exists in Buddhism? Santa Claus?
Yes. He brings red cars. This girl is has a lot of work. Master Z, you have a lot of work on your hands. No wonder he sits with head lowered. So much work. Okay, before we close, hey, Vicky, how's today? Let's make your tooth infection a public endeavor. Now we heard about how Peter decked his wife at night. I don't think you can beat that.
I don't think I can either.
Does it feel better?
It feels a little better.
A little better. So you're making progress.
I think it's...
So we're fine. See, what we worry about is that it doesn't get any better, you might die, because the infection is very dangerous. It gets to your head, okay, or those other dangerous things. So when you see, it's less sensitive than yesterday. Yes,
It feels a little less sensitive, but
Okay.
I feel like I really have to work at it, and I didn't have much time to do anything during the day to meditate or recite, really, as I wished I could have. So,
so
that's
now
why
you're here. Yeah, now you're here. You could do it.
I can
Okay.
really
So the
work at it.
point here is that I feel that you should be able to fix it yourself, and it might take a little bit longer, but you should be able to fix it yourself. Okay. Because since last night it's decreased a little bit, so meaning you gaining grounds on them. Okay, meaning it's not knock on wood dangerous. It's a dangerous thing. Okay, it's rather dangerous thing because infection is you don't mess around with it. But this is to publicly tell you that you can learn to heal yourself, and infections are no joking matters. But you see, at your level, you should be able to do it, and I think you're doing it. Okay. However, time is of the essence, so let's get someone to help you out to speed up a little bit, so it's less pressure on yourself. So Xian Tong, are you in a good state, or are you too tired? Oh,
me?
she's here. Can you help her? Okay. Then you recite the Medicine Master Mantra for her. Okay? Do 2 hours tonight. Can you do 2 hours, or are you going to fall asleep? Okay, do 2 hours. You have a job to do now. Okay? Since you're not cooking anymore, we need to keep you busy. See, that's called, I'm a slave driver. Okay? And if she dies tomorrow, it's all on you.
Master, I want to suggest a little bit. Before you brush the teeth tonight, get some salt and rub around the infected tooth. So do that a few times a day. That will help get rid the bacteria and infection, and also get rid the swollen. The salt.
Is it still swollen? A little? What about this medicine there that the old monk gave you? We have so many things going.
Yeah, after that, then you can rub the medicine. You did that, so with the salt, don't mix with water, just straight with salt, and then rub around it.
She's increasing her odds of success. So, but if it
Sounds
doesn't
good.
get, 2 hours. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, it's public now. If you fail, it's embarrassing to me. If she dies, it's not good either. I hope she's not afraid of death.
Oh, well, we'll see.
Thank you, Venerable Shenhua.
Don't you feel reassuring? Isn't it reassuring, her self-confidence we see? Okay, that's it. Thank you, everyone, and good night.